for more on this, I'm joined now by Neville Smith, a consultant for Freight Investor Services, to get his insight. Thanks very much for coming in, Neville. So as we're hearing now, we're expecting record profits for the biggest mining companies. We're expecting a third year of gains for commodities as well. But ships not going to capitalise on this recovery?
No, they're almost completely going to miss out on that recovery. Certainly this year, probably next year as well. There's been massive over-ordering of ships at a time when prices were just too good to turn down, and now we're living with that, the impact of that.
So leasing rates will be low for 2011. Will that continue beyond this year?
I think, especially for those largest types of ships that haul the coal and iron ore, definitely this year and almost certainly next year as well. The smaller ships may be a bit more volatile, slightly easier for them to make a bit of money in the niches, but on the very top end, yes, for a couple of years.
So profitability is clearly going to be difficult. What might the implications be in terms of bankruptcies? How is it actually going to affect these companies? It'll
be interesting to see if we start seeing that happening this year, because it hasn't really happened so far. The banks haven't wanted to have those ships on their balance sheets as they had in previous downturns. So it's a question of whether or not they start tightening the screws, really.
The market, you've said that the market is actually changing. That's something that you've pointed to, from a big spot market to more long-term charters. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's traditionally the way that you balance out your earnings and your risk is obviously to play the spot market, to take advantage where you can, but also try and lock in long-term time charters for a year or 2 years. It's a traditional shipping play, but with rates this low and supply this high, it's pretty hard to make money in either case. And of course, you also try and diversify, so you move to other sectors as well, but there are simply too many ships and not enough cargoes out there, so that's not necessarily going to be the answer that it usually is.
What other sectors could they move to?
Well, dry ship owners are also expanding into energy, they're also expanding into tankers, but again, there's a similar sort of scenario there in terms of oversupply, although demand is actually quite strong. So it's pretty bad news across the board in terms of earnings this year.
Scott Berg, an analyst for Oppenheimer, was saying big problem for 2011 will continue to be deliveries of new ships, and that's going to offset any upside from a rise in demand. What do you make of that? You agree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's been a very slow motion tidal wave. We've seen this big wave of ships coming towards us for a couple of years now, and it's finally breaking, and we're really going to feel the impact here.
Great to get your insight, your thoughts on this. Neville Smith, consultant for Freight Investor Services. Thanks very much.